What's up, guys? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review of Zatima. This is season 2, episode 10, and let's jump right into the review. So, as we already know, Zach has opened up his door in the middle of the night, and it's his brother Jeremiah and his mother. So, Jeremiah has strolled his way into the house, and I guess he just took a seat somewhere because he just left the mother, who is bleeding, and it looked like she is like barely breathing. So you have Zach trying to hold her as well as Fatima. They like bring her to the couch or whatever. And again, Zach's brother, I mean, talk about a person being worthless. Like, he's talking about I'm just tired of taking care of her. And Zach's like, you should have took her to the hospital. And the brother is like, nah, I brought her here to you. Sir, what? You mean to tell me that you probably drove past the hospital or whatever just so you can bring her to your brother? You could call the police, the ambulance or anything. How does that make any sense? Because now you have Jeremiah saying that he is so tired of her getting drunk and falling down the stairs. And this is where it takes a full turn for me, because I'm just like, why do we have Zach and Fatima laying this woman on the couch just for him to keep yelling and she needs to stay awake, we need to get you to the hospital, I'm like, well, sir, she was already in the doorway. You should have just pushed her into the car and then drove her to the hospital. But, gotta have dramatic effect for Tyler Perry, right? So while all this is going on, you have Fatima say, you know what, I'm going to go change real quick because we already know she was dressed in like her bed clothes or whatever. Jeremiah, he decides that he's done with the situation. He lights his cigarette or blunt, whatever he has, and he strolls his way right on out the door. I'm like, my God. Oh, I almost forgot to mention how Zach's mother is going on about how she likes Karen, she don't like light-skinned women and all this stuff. I'm just like, okay, Tyler, we didn't even need to add all this. But let's keep going. Alright, so now we jump to Fatima and Zach. It looks like they're in like the waiting room at the hospital or whatever. Now, I will say, in this scene, I felt so bad for Fatima because actually, I feel bad for both of them because you have Zach, who is frustrated with his mother. He has known his mother his entire life, so he knows exactly how she is. She's done these types of things before, and this is just the aftermath of her actions. So now that he has money, he feels like now she's coming around, and it's still the same behaviors. She hasn't changed, not a one bit. But then on the other hand, you have Fatima, who is very optimistic. She's very, Zach, I'm going to support you. Maybe we can try to get your mom into like a program. Like, she's trying to think of like solutions. And he don't want to hear no solutions because he feels like his mom does not want any type of help. His mom has been this way his entire life, and she's going to have to want the help. Now, that I absolutely agree with, because think about how many times you have people who have paid for rehab after rehab after rehab, and the person did not want the help. They check themselves out, or right when they get out of rehab, they go right back to what they were doing before. So I do understand where Zach is coming from, where he's saying she has to want the help. The problem here is that he is completely being dismissive of Fatima. He is shutting her out. He is being very closed off. And he keeps telling her, like, I didn't want you to be here. I didn't want you to be here. And the reason why he doesn't want her to be here is because he's very embarrassed. He's embarrassed of his family. He's embarrassed of the way that they acted, especially that brother of his and how his mom is right now. So now Zach is getting extremely annoyed with Fatima, and he's taking his anger out on her. And that is so unfair to her, because the only thing she's been trying to be is a rock for him. Now, for sure, Fatima has her ways, but when she knows that someone needs her and she wants to support them, she's there for them. So at this point, he like yells at her or whatever so that way she can leave, and that was like the breaking point. She gets up and leaves, but you can tell Fatima is so hurt in that moment because the only thing that she wants to do is be there for Zach. All right, so now we see that Fatima's on the phone, right? And I'm thinking that she's going to call Angela because that's her right hand, right? No. She ends up calling the therapist, and I'm like, oh, not this guy. So she lets him know that, his mom showed up. She was in bad shape. We had to take her to the hospital. And he's like, Zach is probably embarrassed by the situation. So now Fatima is going to give him the hospital info so that way he can come down there. And I just don't think that that's going to be a good idea because at the end of the day, do we want Zach to talk to somebody? Absolutely. However, the way we're going about this is wrong. Secondly, I feel like this is all too fresh for you to be trying to rush a therapist down there so Zach can talk to him. All right, y'all. So now we hop on over to Angela. And why is Bryce there? Why is he at her house? Oh, it's because she actually let him crash there because he was absolutely too drunk to drive. I'm just like, yeah, he wasn't too drunk to have that conversation y'all had, but okay. So, he's still over here trying to finagle his way back into her life. And I'm just like, sir, just let it go at this point. She's not interested anymore. She says that she's going to have a hot girl summer. Let her live. Like, she's not about to let you come slide back in. Let the dream go and get out of her house. Next thing you know, Fatima's actually calling her. So she ends up taking the phone call. And basically, Fatima just gave her the rundown on what's been going on. And Angela says that she's there if she needs her. Let's move on to the important stuff. All right, so we have the the nurse come in, and she tells Zach what's been going on with his mom. She says that she fell down some stairs. We don't believe that. She has track marks, on her arms. So basically what she's saying is that your mom is basically a drug addict, and she's drunk, and we're going to keep her for a few hours. We need to watch her. And here's the number so that way you can call somebody, who could possibly help her. So at this point, you can clearly see that Zach is breaking down. He's already, got tears in his eyes, but he ain't crying yet. He's trying to hold it together. So the nurse is like, hey, well, you can go in there and go see her. And Zach can't bring himself to see his mother like that. He didn't want to see her the first time when she showed up at his door like that. And then if he goes in there, he already knows what he's going to face. Probably if she's awake or whatever, she's going to be combative. Like, I can already see how this will play out. And I feel bad for Zach in this moment. So, of course, who shows up right on time? The therapist. And he's like, I'm just here because Fatima called me. And, she really loves you or whatever. So then they have this conversation. And he asks him about, like, is it that every time, things are going good for you, then it just goes bad? And he's like, yeah, it happens all the time. And he's like, so when's the first time that ever happened to you? So Zach says that it happened when he was 7 years old, and that is when his mom started to use drugs, right? Now, here's my only thing about this whole situation. Number one, we're having a whole counseling session in the middle of the hospital. Number two, I feel like we're touching on, like, 3 different things all at the same time, and it makes it seem like the therapist is all over the place, or at least that's what it seems like to me, because we just went from how his mom, left him, abandoned him, so that way she can live her life in the streets, doing all these drugs and all this stuff, to how Zach's saying, his life basically always had these ups and downs. So when he's up, it's good, but then it comes crashing down very soon. Even when it comes to finances, he would get money and then he will lose it very fast. Because at the end of the day, you always know that street money, especially fast money, it goes just as fast as you get it. So then the man is like, you're doing well now. And Zach is like, yeah, but how long that's going to last? Because he's already in the mindset of, as soon as I get this money, it's going to be good for a little bit. And then I'm probably going to lose it all. I mean, with Tyler, he was working on Zach losing it all through child support, to be honest. Because remember, everybody wanted to take half. Okay, but let me be serious. So, the guy, then he goes on to be like, not long. Like, he wasn't going to have his money for long. Or has he had his money since he's been with Fatima? And yes, he's had his money since he's been with Fatima. But, sir, he got his own ways of getting that money, okay? Fatima had nothing to do with that, literally. All right, so then this man decides to bring it around town and say that, Zach is sabotaging his relationship with Fatima because, everything that went down with his mom and how, she basically left him. He feels like no other woman can fit that role. No other woman can come into his life and do, good things for him. So at this point, he's just sabotaging stuff. And if he doesn't change his mindset of, that old thought process that he has, he will never have nothing. He will continue to sabotage his life, and that's just going to be that. Okay, so then, y'all, I thought we were getting somewhere, right? Because honestly, this is all over the place. This little therapy session, all over the place. So I said, okay, fine. He brought it around town to, Zach self-sabotaging. Okay, I'm with you here. So then Zach is like, how do you change when you don't even know that that's what you're doing, right? All right, valid question. How did we get to this man going to, because, when you're sleeping with this one and sleeping with that one, and then you have all these empty feelings. Sir, how did we get here? Who is he sleeping with? Like, what? We only focus on Fatima. He only with Fatima. He's engaged to Fatima. How did we get here? Like, I understand that Tyler wanted to make a reference to Zach in the past or whatever, but, like, this was not the way to do it. Like, I would have rather us gradually see therapy sessions with this man than for us to see him try to piece together Zach's life and it not make any sense at all. Ooh, y'all. So this is where it takes a turn for me and for Zach. Because here comes Mr. Therapist saying how, with that whole elevator situation, you were basically intimidated by Paul because you thought that you were going to lose Fatima to him the same way that you lost your mother. And I'm just like, whoa, wait a second. So you've already had a therapy session with Paul. Because now you already have judgment placed on Zach. But did Paul also tell you about all the times that he tried to get with Fatima? Or are we holding back that information? Because I love the fact how we be having these conversations with these therapists on these TV shows, and we skip over the part that we actually did that attributes to the larger picture. Because I'm pretty sure Paul never said, I tried to get at Fatima a few times, but, Zach was tripping because I really wasn't thinking about her that way. Is that what we doing? Because I would love to know if you held Paul accountable the way that you're coming at Zach in this moment. Because I would have rather you stayed on the topic of Zach having to deal with the issues that his mother has put in his life at this moment versus you jumping around to every aspect of Zach's life and why he's always doing what he doing. Like, do we feel this way about Zach? Absolutely. But, sir, you try to cram a 6 months, a 6 month supply of therapy sessions in this one little conversation, you can get on with this. So now I'm even giving a side eye to the therapist because Zach is like, so how do you know, what went down in the elevator? He's like, oh, I saw the video and they told me about it. Sir, who is they? Oh, right. I guess at some point Fatima mentioned this to you. But the main person who talked to you about this was Paul. That's the main person. So he finally fesses up. It's like, well, I need to be transparent and say that, I'm actually friends with Paul. Oh, wait, you're friends with Paul. See, that makes me give you a little side eye too as well, because do you know where to draw the line on the friendship and therapy? Now, baby, listen. I thought that we got somewhere, but listen, Zach was not feeling it. I feel like once Zach knew that this man was friends with Paul, it was over. It was done because you cannot be trusted any longer. This man definitely wants my fiance. Like, even though Zach has, like, no proof and Fatima has never told him, like, Paul tried to get at me, he knows the type of guy that Paul was. He recognized it. And Zach is actually valid in his feelings when it comes to Paul a little bit. Did he act out? Yes. However, Paul ain't the good guy that he's trying to pretend like he is. So this whole situation looks crazy when you're coming to me saying that you're this therapist and you're trying to help me, but you may be going back talking to the ops. So I get it, Zach. I absolutely understand. Y'all may judge me for this, for being on Zach's side in this situation, but when you look at the whole picture, it looks crazy. So, does Zach absolutely revert back to his old ways? He sure does. But I blame the therapist for this because I feel like he shouldn't have tried to fix all of Zach's problems all in one sitting. So, like Zach said, I'm not even your client. You're doing a lot. And I just feel like I want to see Zach get better, but this was absolutely too soon. I understand where Fatima is coming from. She wants Zach to be better. She wants, Zach to improve. But this was not the way to do it. Like, you cannot keep springing a therapist on somebody, especially when things are happening to him back to back to back. His mom is literally in the hospital. Like, I feel like no thought was actually put into this. If his mom is in the hospital, you know what I'm saying? He's already very hot. He's yelled at you. He needs to cool off. He needs to have a moment to himself. Let that man breathe a little bit, okay? Like, I feel like Zach he just might be able to sit with himself and be like, you know what? I came in Fatima wrong, right? But no, there was no temperature check here. We just went on ahead, sent the therapist in. Okay, we were making progress with the therapist. However, the therapist decided he wanted to jump all around the fucking world and then try to bring it all home to talk about Paul didn't deserve nothing. That right there was all bad. But let me go ahead and move on because I feel like we're definitely going to see the therapist again. Hopefully Zach will come to his senses, but I feel like the way that whole thing played out, I don't know. It may be very rocky in the future. So his friends decide to come or whatever. And Zach said, how'd y'all know? And they go say, oh, Jeremiah told me about it. I said, so answer me this. Did Jeremiah tell you how he decided to just go ahead and drop our mother off at my doorstep? Like, how did he phrase that? I am so curious. So then Nate is like, oh, how is everything holding up? Like, how are you? And he's like, I'm good, whatever. And then here go Nate. He gonna say, oh, yeah, because, your mom was like a mom to all of us. All of who? She wasn't even a mom to Jeremiah and Zach. So who was she like a mama to? And this woman has been on drugs since this boy was 7, okay? And it seems like she was a consistent user, okay? On top of that, the boy was in and out of foster care and group homes, all types of stuff. When did she have time to be a mom to you, Nate? Because she didn't even have time to be a mom to Zach. You just saying any old thing. Tyler, get the storyline together, please. And don't worry, y'all, it gets even worse. Because Connie decides to show up. We already know this is all of Nate's doing. You can't tell me otherwise. And what really bothered me in this scene, is that Zach sat up there and hugged Connie because she's there to support him. Are you serious right now? When Fatima tried to support you and you completely shut her out? Like, I get it. Maybe because it was very fresh when that happened and maybe some time has passed. A few hours may have gone by, so you've had to sit with all this. But, sir, don't play in our face. And then for Connie to be like, oh, because, your mom has been getting worse or whatever, I didn't want you to, think I was up to anything, so that's why I didn't call you from her phone or whatever. And I'm just like, number one, I don't think his mother even has his number. Doesn't seem like it. So that would be very strange, Connie, because the only way you would ever actually have the number is if it's from Nathan or Tony. Secondly, ma'am, how do you be seeing her getting worse? Do you live in the same projects as her? Because if not, are you in a dope house too? Are you in a crack house? Please let me know how you be seeing her. I'm just curious. And then this is where it got really weird for me, because I'm like, you need to drop every person that's sitting around you right now. Because she's like, but Miss Gladys, she's always funny. And then everybody told me something, yeah, because she's always cracking jokes. I said, how did we get here? How did we get to this lady always cracking jokes, even though she's getting worse with her drug habit? So Zach's like, yeah, she's always smoking crack too. Like, y'all not about to sit up here and act like everything's all good, everything's all funny, because it ain't your mama, it's my mama. And if Connie say, I know you one more time, I'm going to scream. Because she keeps telling Zach, I know you. I know you. Girl, all because you knew somebody when you was like 16, 17 years old, you do not know them people 20 years later. I promise you that you don't. I promise you. Because there should have been some growth over the years. There should be something over the years that they're not still doing the same things that they were doing when they were 14 years old. Yeah, let's throw that out there. So then she decides to go ahead and finesse the whole situation. Again, I think that her and Nate set all of this up, and Tony's just collateral. He's just there to be the idiot that he is. She gonna say, oh, well, I know you, Zach. So I'm about to be right here for you. Y'all can go back to playing a game. I said, playing what game? It should be what time at this point? Because he did tell Zatima that she had to go to work or whatever. So I'm just like, if it got to be in the morning. So why are you telling him to go play a game somewhere so that way you can hold Zach down? So then Tony chimes in and he's like, no, we here for our boy. Like, we going to be here for him. Now, I can understand Tony wanting to stay considering he's been friends with Zach for all of these years. And Connie's like, no, I got it. Because, Zach, don't you want me to stay? Here comes Nate chiming in. Yeah, Connie, you can stay. We can leave. The setup. Zach needs to fight Nate. Zach needs to punch Nate in the face. I'm so ready for that to happen. I need for them to stop being friends ASAP, because, baby, when you have a friend like Nate, ain't nothing good gonna come out of it. Because how you gonna set your boy up like this? Because you are so desperate for him to fall for Connie. I've never seen anything like this in my life. So then we see that his boys have left, y'all. Tony, of course, he never stands his ground. He just goes along with whatever's happening. So they end up leaving. Now, Connie, she done wrapped her arms around Zach. Zach done practically fell into her lap. I'm like, what the is this? Baby, here comes Zatima coming through or whatever. And I was like, ooh, what is this little red outfit? But nonetheless, she comes in. She's like, what the fuck is this? Zach over here some sucking his teeth. I say, oh, I know you lying. I know you out here lying. But I'm assuming that he's pissed off with her because of that whole therapist situation. But now we have Zatima trying to figure out who this woman is who's sitting up with her fiance. So Connie's like, I'm Connie or whatever. Oh, I guess you're supposed to be the fiance or whatever. It was a very weird exchange. And you can tell that Zatima is pissed off. She feels some type of way. And the fact that Zach is like just brushing it off. He doesn't care at all. He's like, this is about my mother being in the hospital. Yeah, it's about your mama being in the hospital, but at the same time, you have no respect or regard for your fiance in this situation. I don't care how mad you are, you handle that at home. Why are you still over here snuggled up under Connie? Make that make sense, sir. So Fatima's like, you know what? I'm about to go ahead and go to my parents' house or whatever. And I'm just like, girl, Zach gotta go. In this moment, I'm so over Zach. I know it may sound like I am flip-flopping whose side I'm on, but in certain situations, I'm on a different person's side. In this moment, he's absolutely wrong for the way he dismissed Zatima. But here's the thing that really got me. Here comes the nurse, right? She like, why y'all still here? Because baby girl done left. Y'all, his mama has checked herself out. And I'm just like, and whose big decision was that to let her check herself out? Considering her situation, nobody decided to come check on him. I mean, I've never had that type of situation in my life. I've never even had to check anyone out of a hospital or anything like that. But I'm just like, how in the world did this woman check herself out the hospital and then nobody told Zach? Nobody walked past and was like, hey, wasn't you here for that lady? Like, the lady said, yeah, she checked out like hours ago. Hours? That sounds like more than 3. Oh, I don't like that. And Zach, all he could say was, this is what she do. All right, so when the nurse steps away, the only thing that Connie has on her mind is how she can get Zach to her house. She literally tells him, you can go ahead and you can come to my house, we can figure out what we gonna do about your mom, but also we can do what we do. Girl, you're that thirsty for this man that's not yours. I mean, you have not probably slept with this man since y'all was teenagers. That's crazy that you're still chasing after him. Please stop it. Again, this is a plot that her and Nate set up. And honestly, I want the worst for these two. Alright, so now let's hop on over to Fatima's parents' house. At first she, was worried that he wasn't going to show up. And Zach ends up walking through the door. And I already knew this was not going to go well. So, first things first is that her dad is like, oh, Fatima hasn't told us a lot about you or whatever. And, of course, the mom chimes in and she's like, yeah, so I had to do some digging and I didn't see anything good. I'm just like, ma'am, if you don't get up out of here with this, like, I understand that you want your daughter to date a certain type of man and a man of a certain caliber, but you are so negative. But I can't lie, this next part, it really didn't have me laughing because they asked him about why he went to jail. He's like, oh, I went to jail for armed robbery or whatever. And the dad was like, oh, did you learn your lesson? And he was like, I don't know. Y'all got some nice stuff up in here. I might spin the block. I don't know why, but that took me out. Because if y'all gonna be mean to me, I'm gonna be mean back to y'all. So this is where I absolutely knew that this was not gonna go well. Because Zach is in his feelings. And when Zach is in his feelings, he's not a nice person. So he goes on and on about how, did you tell your parents that my mom's a crackhead? Because at the end of the day, y'all daughter is the one who tried to, play me out. She got the therapist on me. All of that was revealed. Also the fact that the man at her job has been trying to get with her. It was just a lot of things that were said from Zach. And I will say this. He has definitely been reminded that Fatima is the best thing that ever happened to him. I feel like a lot of people have reminded him of that. But to be honest, she is one of the better things that has happened in his life. So I'm not going to take away from that, but I do feel like, again, when it rains, it pours when it comes to Tyler Perry. Hell, it don't pour, it just storm. Like, it is a blizzard out here when it comes to the drama that Zach and Fatima have endured these past 10 episodes, plus whatever else is going on in the sisters' world. Like, it is to the point where there's a very slim chance of these two making it back together, because Zach has a lot of issues going on right now, and then on top of that, Fatima has her things going on. Like, it's just too much. My God. And then now we have her parents who feel some type of way because Zach done stormed out the damn door, because he feels like she could ever fall in love with a person like him, or whatever. And his parents, mostly his mom's like, well, we were just asking questions. Girl, you were not asking questions. You were prying into that man's background. Because the first thing that y'all asked about is him going to jail. You did not ask about, oh, what do you do right now? Oh, you do like the real estate stuff? What do you do in that? You don't even know what he currently does. You don't know how he got his house. Or maybe you do because you decided to get a freaking private detective to figure out what's going on with this man's life. You out here doing background checks. Like, you were wrong. And like Fatima said, this was not the time for this. Like, you did not want to get to know him as a potential son-in-law. You just wanted to be nosy so that way you could put him down and show Fatima you can do better than this. Now, when it comes to the stepdad, he was a bit more, I guess, understanding because he did tell Fatima, and this is the guy that you want to be with, it is what it is. Because only you know what's going to be good for you. Now, her mom, on the other hand, she went on about how Fatima's daddy was, trifling to her and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, girl, you already found your happiness with Fatima's stepdad. Please shut up. Let Fatima go through whatever she has to go through. If she needs your help, she will reach out to you. Fatima ends up leaving, right? Next thing you know, the parents are like, oh, you gotta tell her. That's what the stepdad told the mom. And she was like, yeah, I know. Tell her what? What is it that you have to tell her? Because now I'm getting weirded out. What is going on here? Y'all, why in the hell is Zach in the hood? Why is Zach in the projects right now? Y'all, he look like he is hanging out on the side of the building that his mama live in, which we already knew was in the projects. And you have Tony there, you have Nate there, and Connie. They are all hanging out. And I'm just like, that's real interesting because it always made it seem like Tony wasn't kicking it with Connie like this, but clearly he does. So they all kicking it or whatever. And they like, yeah, we saw your mom. She looked good too. She looked like she doing all right. I'm just like, you need to drop every last one of these people. They didn't even let you know that they saw your mama. Even though you was just with Connie when they told you that your mama checked out the damn hospital. What? Oh my God, I'm just so frustrated watching this. Oh, but baby, it gets even worse because Zach decides to go ahead and take Connie upstairs so that they can talk or whatever. All right, fine. I'm just already over it. Then we have Tony and Nate talking. And Nate gonna say, oh yeah, because Connie, I think she uses too. You mean to tell me Connie's on drugs? And you just sat up here and you just hooked your homeboy up with her? And you've been itching and scratching and trying to get Zach to sleep with this woman this entire time? Who are you? Who raised you? And then what really pisses me off is that I'm just like, Tony, again, could you please be a better man and take your ass upstairs and be like, Zach, let's go. This ain't about to happen. Because Nate tried to set you up. I'm just saying, like, this is so frustrating to watch. All right, so now we move on over to Fatima having this phone conversation with Angela. Let me tell you what really annoys me is that now we have the dialogue of Fatima constantly saying that every time his mom comes around, he treats me like this. Every time his mom comes around, as if his mom has been around like 10, 11 times. Like, I don't know, every time she says it, it just makes it seem as if she's had multiple times where Zach has, had to go to his mom, beck and call. But I'm just like, nah, this is all kind of fresh, but okay, girl. So you can absolutely tell that, Fatima's getting very frustrated with the whole situation when it comes to Zach and all these things going on, and she really wants him to get help. So she ends up getting off the phone. Next thing you know, there's a knock at the door. Who is it? Gladys. Zach's mama is at the door. Now, this is the part that got me, y'all. She over here talking about oh yeah, is Zach here? And because he was like, no, I thought he was with you. And she's like, oh no, he went to Connie's house. I thought he would be back already. How do you know that he went to Connie's house? Were you peeping out of your window to see that he went over there so that way you can come over here and then ask Fatima for some money? Please make it make sense to me. Because please know that his mom is literally asking for $50 and she's waiting on Fatima to hand it over. So next thing you know, Zach comes home and he keeps telling his mom that she needs to leave, she needs to go or whatever. And I'm just like, damn, how far is your house from the hood? That's my question. Because is she on foot patrol? How did she get all the way over here? And then you just gonna let her walk home? Mind blown. Because clearly his mom is on something yet again. But here's the kicker. His mom's like, oh, I know you went to Connie's house, and I know you was sleeping with her. I can see y'all, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, is this Women of Brewster's place? When the old lady was like, y'all didn't close y'all curtains, so I saw y'all? What's going on here? So she ends up leaving. So now Fatima is like, what is your mother talking about? What does she mean you was with Connie and you slept with her? And Zach did not answer when she asked him the question, like, did you sleep with her? So she's like, you know what? We're done. I'm leaving. So she ends up getting her bag, gets her phone, and she leaves. And that is exactly where we left off, y'all. Do I think that Zach actually cheated on Fatima? I would hope not. Especially not with Crackhead County. Please, Lord, let him not do that. I just really would hope that it finally hit him what the therapist said, that you can't keep, hooking up with this one and that one. Like, I get how Tyler tried to write that to be a full circle moment, but sir, I'm still side-eyeing it. Y'all, let me know what y'all thought about this episode. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Actually, let me know what y'all thought about this entire season, for real. I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye, guys.